I'm Theo, the head of programming here at TriTogether, and I'm super excited to introduce our April speaker and also one of our own volunteers, Paul DuBay. Paul was raised in rural Iowa and moved to San Antonio, Texas, where he earned his Bachelor of Arts in History and Elementary Education in 1981, a driver's ed endorsement in 1985, a master's degree in Peace and Justice in 1991, and a secondary education certificate in 2010. Serving 31 years as a private and public classroom educator, Paul instructed 12 different courses, grades 4 through 12, as well as an adult defensive driving course. During his career as an educator, he taught a variety of courses from US history to science fiction literature, and he's additionally coached academic teams, sponsored organizations, and authored 2 books. He's an amazing guy, and recalling the expression, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, Paul has a long history of advocating for others. Paul works with people from cover letter to contract to obtain their desired employment through what he calls an employment process preparation. Although originally a paid service, he now assists people with unique situations for no fee, and tonight, also at no cost, he's here to advocate for you. And with that said, we welcome the amazing Paul.
Okay, thank you, Theo. I just do need to see about how we're going to do I know you said to share the screen, but if I don't see a switch for me to do that. So,
It should be if you go into, there's like a symbol with 3 dots that says more. And it should
there it is.
just,
Okay, got
yep.
it. Okay, and show captions. Sorry, folks. Good evening to everybody. Hang in here with me, please. This is the first time I've actually done it this way. Okay, I see record, show captions, transcript,
It'll
whiteboard.
just say share.
No, the word share is not here.
Is there one next to react or chat, like just in your main
Here.
bar?
Okay, never mind. Here's share. Never
Yeah.
mind. Here we go. Okay, now okay, and then here we go. I think share, and here we go. Okay, and we're going to start it from the get-go here. And good evening. I'm going to be talking, but you're going to be looking at a screen, and I started with something colorful because it gets your mind engaged, because we're going to be seeing a lot of blank screens tonight. And but I'll go ahead and jump in. Again, good evening to everybody. My name is Paul DuBay, and I am here for you. And to that end, I love that title. Thank you, Hannah, for that one. I just liked it. I would not have thought of that. And so, like I said, this is for you, and I'm going to read some things, but I'll be adding in my own extra bits as well. Please, right now, this is for you. Please take notes, take screenshots. You can always refer to them later. Let's see, continuing, also, please feel free to ask questions at any time. I'm really big on that. If you don't have any questions, great, but the biggest problem is the question that goes unasked, pardon me. So there are no bad questions as long as they're sincere, and who cares what anybody else thinks? If you have a question, please ask. All right, so I'm going to jump in. Here we go. I think I'm going here. All right. There's a common question to all of us is, of course, who am I? All right. Standard, lots of ways we could get heavy on that. I'm not going to say that we're taking that one step further. And by saying that just to give you a bit about me, I do have a family. I'm the firstborn son of 4 siblings. And my Borg designation for you Star Trek fans is 2 of 4. And I'm brother, dreamer, friend, and a proud uncle, and I enjoy rock music. Okay, so I need to move that out of my way there. And let me see if I can make that shorter here. Okay, sorry, there's a screen that was getting in the way. Okay, maybe that'll help. Okay. All right. Okay, I hope you're still there, and here we go. Okay, like our name and birthmark, some answers remain with us all our lives, and others change according to the stages of life we experience. By the way, I also talk fast if I need, because I love people, I love being here. If I go too fast, feel free to jump in and say, Paul, slow down, please. Not a problem. No ego to bruise. All right. So, and that's just it. We do change throughout time, And your resume will reflect that as you update it. So, professionally speaking, who am I? Now, I understand there's various age groups here on this call, so I will say some of the stuff going to present here is for people who already have jobs or are experienced, have some experience, and others, if you're in high school or whatever and just getting started, uh, that's okay too, because you are professional. You just have to get there yet. People are looking for young people, so please don't discount yourself. So, and that's why we have a resume for the professional side of you. All right. And I'm giving you a glimpse at my resume because I'm going to refer to some of the things that you see here um, as we go throughout. First of all, my name is the largest thing on this document, and that's as it should be. And then I have my contact information. Now, what comes next? I use my professional licenses because I was focusing on education. But the other two options are an objective and a summary of your experience. Again, you don't have to note these yet because pardon me, because I will be touching more on that later. Okay, but I also want you to notice the font that I have used. Okay, it's very soft looking. And there's some other things in particular here. This is page 2 of my resume. You notice I start with my name and continue. There's not a broken sentence there, right? So you don't want to get into the broken sentence thing. You want things to be fluid. And that's just it. If it helps you, more important than whether you have experience or not, right now, is presentation, especially for those of you who are really looking for employment. How do you get yourself noticed? That is what I'm going to try to assist with and empower you tonight. Now, and by doing that, we're going to have to get into the nuances, the small details of what goes into making and constructing a good resume. And I don't have all the answers. We'll get to that also momentarily. But I did want to point out here my use of bullet points here because they are visually, they stand out versus a dash and other markings. And another thing that I want to put in here is I do include my education. As Theo mentioned, I have a master's degree, but originally, of course, got my bachelor's first. But I also include my GPA, and I'll tell you why I did that later on. Some sources will say, don't do this. And that's a good place to begin to this evening for you because some people will say, do this. People say, well, don't do that. There is no cookie cutter. If I could just give you a resume and say, here's your resume, here's the format, here's what you do, bingo, here it is, take your screenshot and have a good night, we'd do that. But it's not that simple. And you know what? That's a good thing. So I have told you a bit about me and this to get to establish a foundation for you to talk with yourself about you. And I do want you to take the time today and actually dare to ask yourself, who am I? In terms of your skills, you have them, and your personal hopes, no matter what your age. We have those too. So if this seems a bit challenging, intimidating, it is. And like I said, there is no bumper sticker answer. And to that, I have to say, cool. You don't want that. There's no bumper sticker. We want you to be able to have, we meaning me, myself, and I want you to have a, a resume that shows who you are. So that's why I say there's not just one format. And by the way, I'm going to let you know when it's good time for screenshots. Okay. And I think, well, anyway, I'll just leave it at that. Okay. And again, that's cool because only you can tell your story. And you have a story to tell. So, and it's interesting, doing this gets a little easier with age because once you have your resume in place, you now have a template, an example to go by that will carry you through, and you will update it as you need to, however you need to. So here we go, getting started. Let's jump in. There's my swimmer. The water's fine. Here we go. Let's start with something basic. Any honest and positive thought about you is a step in the right direction. Again, this is about you. And I want you to be thinking of the positive things that you can say about yourself. You're good with people. You like kids. You are interested in working in a movie theater. Whatever goes through your mind. I don't know, but you do. Think of those thoughts and just focus on them. Not, oh, I can't do this or I don't have experience that. Those are a real, as a friend of mine would say, stop the stinking thinking. We want to keep your thoughts positive. So in this situation, I'm going to do my best. There's a lot of material here, but it doesn't mean it's difficult. The more you look at this, you're going to say, well, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. Yes, you can. And that's the whole point. The emphasis here is going to be on simplicity and minimal stress. This has to be done. Let's do it. And quite frankly, I have fun in life. It's a challenge. Embrace it. Have fun with it. Okay, this is one of your most important documents. Again, tells the working world who you are. And as I've said, you are a professional. And if you don't feel you're there yet, you soon shall be. And that's the main thing. Again, staying positive, you have something to offer. And sometimes it starts simply with a smile. So, again, kudos to who you are. You've made it this far in life. Congratulations. Questions. Okay. Here's some things you need to consider as we go through that will help you, hopefully. What have you done professionally? What have you done? Again, babysitting, uh, run errands for people, answer telephones. I don't know, but you do. So again, put another way, what are your experiences? No experience? No problem. What do you know you can do? By the way, I will pause now when these screens get filled up. I'll pause so you can take a screenshot. If I go too fast, just holler. Again, like I said, I'll stop. I can easily go back. So no problem. All right. So no experience. Okay. What can you do? And I love this question. If you could wave your magic wand right now, what would you like to be doing? And people can say, well, I'd like to be sitting on a beach in Acapulco and with my toes in the sand. Nice. Oh, and with a multi-million dollar bank account. Fine. Wonderful. How are you going to get there? That's what this is what the magic wand is for. How are you going to get there? How hard are you going to work? What's your approach? And that's a cue that lets you know time to think again. And I already have volunteer timers, so I'm going to pass that. Thank you, Theo. And what I'd like for you to do is to take 15 seconds to think about what you want to write. And don't write anything yet, please. Just think about yourself, something that you do, something that you like, a skill that you have. Please, when I say go, I'm going to give you 15 seconds, and I know how to count 15 seconds in my head. So we'll go quiet for 15 seconds, but let's take time out and just think. Starting now. Go. 15 seconds isn't long, but hopefully at least one or two ideas came to mind. Okay. Now, I could say here, please take 75 seconds and write some of the things that you did, but let's do about 30 seconds. Please, just again, quick notes, quick jots, just type a little something. And if you cannot, then again, do your dream. Dare to just dream. But the big thing is to take those first steps. Starting now, 30 seconds. All right, as they say in Jeopardy, pencils down or markers down, whatever. The By the way, 30 seconds is the length of the Jeopardy theme. That's why I was running through my head for 15 and 30 seconds. Anyway, and please ignore that. That's really not comprehensible. The real thing is, were you stuck? And I could ask probing questions, and that's a good place now. Let's take a minute instead of that 75 seconds, and please allow me to ask, were were any of you stuck? Because I tried to give some examples, but are we doing fine? Please let me know. You don't just shout out. Was anybody stuck? Well, great. Then let's continue, please. Okay, and as I said, it's also cool to put your dreams on paper. All right, and let's see. These Is there anything here that needs to be discussed? Was it difficult to write about yourself, or was it easy? Anyone have anything to share about that? Okay, another question or two. Focusing on the positive, not the negative. What did you gain from looking at yourself? Again, you know what that is. Maybe you thought of something you haven't thought of before. Maybe the exercise was a repeat and reinforces what you already know. That's fine too. Any other questions? I'm not sure what to ask. I will just leave that one up to you. Again, please know you can ask questions anytime. Okay. You want to be sure to include computer skills in your resume. I'm addressing one slide on this specifically just because at one time, and I had this on my resume, by the way, it used to be an honor to say PowerPoint and Excel and these things. Now, in this age, it's expected. So instead of that, you can just say that you have your rate your computer literacy and then list the programs that you know that you can do. Okay, and the resume to all of this provides structure for you. We have several goals. Goals will come up twice, but I'm going to keep them simple. The idea, of course, put your best foot forward on paper. And two, you want to make that good first impression to whoever reads it. And this is a good time to share with you now that let's say you are applying in a position that the person who's doing the hiring has 20 resumes to look at. How do we get your resume to be seen? Okay, that's where I'm trying to address here this evening, how to make that good first impression. There's lots of things that can go wrong, and we want to focus on the things that can go right. So again, I've already mentioned about things that will change that can change that, pardon me, that your resume will change, but it'll be due to what? New jobs, awards, ongoing education, new skills, that kind of thing. Okay, so again, reason to update. Okay, so our initial considerations. I'm going to talk to you about fonts because I think of this next slide or two will show you exactly what I mean. Good fonts. Arial. This presentation uses Arial font. Similarly, Geneva. That is what my resume was in. And Helvetica. Very similar to the other two, obviously. What the difference is, I don't know, but on a computer, it seems to make a difference. Conversely, here is what I can only suggest that you ignore the not so good fonts. Particular, Times New Roman. Very popular, but not recommended. Why, Paul? Good question. I'll show you in a second. Two other fonts, though. Apple Chancery, right out the bat, just too artsy. Again, you're that person going through resumes, 20 resumes, and you get a resume like this with this kind of print, and then you get something like this, you'll see that visually there's a big difference. And some people just exclude your resume before you even get your foot in the door because they don't like the format or whatever. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. And then a very popular one, I have a friend who uses that one, but not for a resume. Okay, here, let's focus on the letter R for a second to drive home the point. The Arial is a simple block letter, but Times New Roman, I call it, has that extra art, what I call eye clutter. And I'm referring to, if you can see my pointer, these two lines across the bottom here, the branches there of the R, and up here on the crown of the R. Three little extra markings just draws it in. And that's just it. I think it needs to be said here that people with reading difficulties are everywhere. And so I want your resume to be appealing to everybody.
I'll just as a heads up, you have 20 minutes.
I'm up to 20 already?
Hmm.
Okay. Well, thank you, Theo. Okay. So which of these is easiest to read? Not, and all of these fonts are in the same size, by the way. And this is a line from a song many moons ago, but here's Times New Roman, here's the Arial, and here's that, I think the Chancery one. Again, to me, the middle one stands out. To you, again, it's your call, though. It's your resume. So please take the time to find what works for you. If you're unsure, ask for input from others. And the same with your resume's format. So, what looks good to you? What best represents you? And here we go with sample resumes. A couple things that are wrong with these. This one here, the name is way too big. And then all this space, it doesn't really function well. Again, here, this person is using Times New Roman. What I do like is that they have used the bullet points, nice touch, but these split columns, not, again, not my first choice. Maybe you would like that. However, this one here, contact, this needs to be near their name. That would be my suggestion. And consequently, why, if if I'm looking at Daniel Johnson's, oh, where's your contact? Okay, it's over here. Why make the person look for it? Why make that interviewer or resume reader look for it? Put the contact information near your name. I picked this one because it says popular. I like the font, but this is not needed. At least I got the information here on the correct side. And I like the font, but like I said, this that's not needed. And uh, anyway, going on. This one, he's got the information split over here. Again, why? Not sure. Again, I like the bullet points, not into the Times New Roman, but this notice the dates because I'm going to talk about this. Here they use numbers, in this case, June of 2019 to the current. Uh, uh, that's one way of doing it. I'll show you another one. It's easier to show than to describe. All right, so here's, you want to show your selling points, obviously. And like I said, it serves also as a template for your interview. I'm going to skip this part and go to here. So before we go on, I don't care if time is an issue, Theo. Everybody, please take a deep breath. You know, you've been sitting here. Just take a deep breath, taking it all in. And here we go. Here's what you're looking for. The challenge is what to say and how to say it. Please be patient with yourself. You're going to end up revising it 15 to 20 times realistically before you have the final product. And so just, again, be patient. Those lines just mean be patient. So what to include? Here's the screenshot time, and I'll fill it up and then I'll pause so you can get your screenshot if needed. So here's the things to include. There's your picture. One, the standard contact information, your employment experience, of course, and dates of employment. And you want to start with the most recent and then go back. If you don't have that experience, I really can't anything experience at all. It's it's easy to address, but too complicated to address here. And I have Hannah and I have discussed that if some of you need more time with this, I'm happy to give you that extra time. It just won't happen tonight. So please keep that in mind. And then any your education special programs, any special training. Just always list everything in chronological order, except where you have the employment experience going the most recent to back in time. Professional objective or job summary. The main thing here, especially if you are a younger person, you have an objective. You are at least looking for some kind of, I would always go for full time, but if you're looking for a part-time position, that's okay too. That's what is there. But you're saying something definite. Okay. And a job summary is for people who have more experience. I've never used one, but that is something that can easily be addressed. Uh, your paid experience, if you've had a job, that's your paid experience. But if not, if you had some special volunteer work of some kind, that is applicable too. Be sure to include it. Um, this is really more for modern time here. If you post on a resume on a company website, follow their instructions. That's a real big part of to successfully completing it. The things to omit. By the way, okay, never mind. Okay. So you don't need to include your references here. Save that for the interview. You get interviewed and they want to continue on. They'll say, can you provide references? Sure. I'll give you more about references in a moment. You don't need to talk about your salary information, whether you've made a lot or none. It's irrelevant. If requested, you can include that in a cover letter, which basically introduces yourself to uh, uh, pardon me, to the person who's reading your resume. And you do not need to get into personal data like, of course, your age, marital status. You don't want to include a picture of yourself. That was why I didn't like that letter J there recently that we just saw. Or information about race, religion, nationality, that kind of stuff. Irrelevant to what you're looking for. Personal pronouns. If you use them, fine. This just isn't the place for them. It is on the resume. You don't need them there. However, if they ask for them at an interview, I would want to know why just why. You don't have to just why. That's all. And people say that this is not good to use, and that's why I put that up there. I did anyway because I had big reason to. Nowadays, they say it's assumed, not required. I had reason. It wasn't assumed, and that was why it's there. And that's why I use it. Things you want to be sure to do. The name, font size, bold, 14. That your name is the biggest thing on the resume. The rest, a regular font size 12. Some people will want to go with 10, maybe an 11 to make everything fit. That's okay, but I would not go any smaller than font size 10 because then it starts getting harder to read. Resume length, ideally one page, no more than two. You saw that mine was two, but mine was for a school teacher and I had to show my career experience, but it just wouldn't all fit on one page. Saw one that was 3 pages, irrelevant. That was for an airplane pilot. And then anything that you're hip into, the activities, responsibilities, results, and accomplishments. Uh, the main thing is, of course, use consistent formatting and watch your spelling because mistakes stick out to the trained eye. And for those of you who didn't catch it, that's my subtle attempt at humor. Okay, so write brief sentences. Another subtle attempt. Full sentences not necessary. I let off the word. Left off the word. Well, that was easy for me to say. I left off the word "are." So start with your objective or summary statement of what you offer, and then list jobs by month and year. You saw the 06/2013, I think it was. This is also acceptable. And I do this because some people get the numbers wrong, but there's no doubt what month I'm talking about when you see that. All right, gaps in work history. That's a real long story. I don't really want to get there. The bottom line is some people will question why you have a gap in your work history. And there are many reasons for that. Skipping the story. What causes those gaps? There's a number of things, some good, some not so good. For women, maternity leave. I would be asking you to play feedback and questions, all this. So I want to make sure we get everything in time, so bear with me, please. but maternity leave, a sabbatical, kind of like a vacation, but it's different. Just if you're not sure what a sabbatical is, there's the print to look it up. Incarceration, for whatever reason you were put away for a while, it's a tough pill to swallow, but there's a reality. And then the upside here, the continuing education, professional development, and or returning to college, going back to school. You want to format, as I said earlier, so no sentence spills over onto the next page. So want to watch your formatting. Goes back to what I said at the beginning about the importance of formatting. Use the bullet points. A dash is harder to see. All right. And in fact, going back to the online application, some programs don't read that dash. So look for the instructions. Always ask, two heads are better than one. Always ask someone to review your final draft. Hopefully I'm doing okay. Theo, can I at least get a thumbs up? I'm okay. Can I finish?
Yeah, you have about 15 or about 10 left.
Okay, thank you. I think we're good. Okay. So here's the things that we don't want to do. You don't need to write the word resume. That has to be included because some people do that. Please don't use italics, just that standard lettering that you saw. And you don't need to use underlines. If anything needs to be highlighted, use the bullet points. Avoid abbreviations. It's okay to say you have a PhD instead of doctorate, but we're talking about generalities. Um, um, I'll leave it at that. There you go. Those kind of abbreviations are okay. Do not include a picture. That's why I questioned that letter J on that resume that we saw. Even if you're very good looking, and I'm sure you are, but not a picture. That's not the time for it. Or you don't need to include the references, save those. I use my GPA, but general rule, you won't need to. Don't include personal data. Yes, you're healthy, good for you. That's not something to put on the resume. Whether you're married or not. Again, it goes back to your marital status, single, or that you have a great sense of humor. Some people, that's been on there. That's why it's included here. And this is a long-winded way of saying is don't go on about something that's irrelevant. Okay, so I'm not going to try to read all that, but that's my cue. Ultimately, everything that you do that I've said, please plan on revising and revising and checking and formatting because you're going to measure. That's the carpenter's credo, but you got a lot more to do than that. Just measure twice, cut once. Uh, but when you're finally ready, when you can say you're ready to print, that's when you know you've done some good work. The references, just a couple words about the references. In addition to the resume, you want a minimum of 3 professional references. And if you're in, say, high school, some teacher who you have a real good rapport with is a good one. Maybe a coach, it just depends, or a club sponsor, organization sponsor, those kinds of things. Uh, College professors, and then on up to whatever you're into. And some employers do require 5 references, so I would recommend you get 5. When you're using a person as a reference, be sure to get their permission to use that contact information. Again, the usual stuff, the contact info, name, address, phone number, email. And then when shared, you've met somebody, they like your resume, they're going to be reaching out to that reference, let them know. And if you can, let them know how they would be contacted by phone or email. Inform them of that as well so they know what to expect so they don't think it's a spam contact, for those of you who know what spam is. And because you don't want to be ignored because that is an awful way to lose a job opportunity. Also, 3 personal references. Only twice in my years have I needed personal references, but I did need them. Who are they? A longtime family friend, an influential person. Couldn't think of anything else, so I just chose Moneybags, but there you go. And then, but only provide those references when requested. Your priority is, in this case, is to be sure to thank your references. I've seen people say got the reference, they got the letter, they got everything they needed, and boom, they're gone, and you never see them again. Please don't be like that. If someone's tried to help you, the least you can do is say thank you. The big question in everything that we're doing here tonight is this, because the resume is just the start. Your goal is, of course, to be interviewed, but your resume is leading to that big question. Why should I hire you? Interviewers often ask that question. It's a good one to go to. Good. The answer is already on your resume. You know you know the answer. You're good, you're dedicated, you're responsible, you're intelligent, whatever it is. This is your chance to shine. So prepare what you're going to say. I saw this actor in person one time, and he was talking about things in life. He said, learn your lines, not just about it as an actor, but learn to say please and thank you and a lot of things. Well, your resume is no different. Put it out there. Learn your lines and be ready. I also add do your best. Great story there, but it's the person who is faithful in smaller tasks is usually given the chance to prove themselves in greater and more important tasks as well. So just keep your integrity intact. Integrity is key in everything. Do your best. And most people will never see the good things you do. Please do them anyway. You're the one who knows. Open the door for somebody, whatever, write somebody a letter, whatever it is. Success comes from consistent forward progress, not perfection. So you don't try to do this all at once. If you're trying to say, I'm going to knock out my resume in 10, 15 minutes, there's something wrong. Either you're a genius or you've got a lot of mistakes to correct. So focus on making steady gains on your goals every day. Self-assessment, again, we've had these. What do you do? Winding up here, Theo. What do you do? What are you willing to do? What did you write tonight that was good? Hopefully something. And what could be better stated? Here's a prime example. I know a guy who thought he was articulate because he used to say, having said that, well, I had been using much longer. I said, that said, shorter, less syllables, less words, and it is better stated. So play, see what you can compose. That's my challenge to you. What can you compose? Because you can do it. That was what's up to you. And where do I begin? You already have that stuff. I've this kind of a repeat here. And I'll skip the story of the piano tuner. Um, Theo, how are we doing on time, please?
Good. We have about 6 minutes for questions.
Okay, here we are, because I am ready to wind down. Are there any questions?
I have a question just until
Please.
someone else wants to jump in. Is there like an expiration date for anything that you could put on a resume? Like, is there a certain point where you should take something off and maybe replace it with something newer?
Only that's a really good question. Only if it becomes obsolete. Let's say, like case in point, the point of honor earlier to say, oh, I know how to do PowerPoint. That was big shucks about 20, 25 years ago. Now, not so much. Okay. And then also, in terms of eliminating something from let's say you still want to keep your resume short and you have a job listed on there, you have positions on there that just, they really don't pertain to you anymore. You can get rid of those as well. Is that part of what you were getting at, Theo?
Yeah, that was what I was asking about.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
I have a question.
Please.
So what if, I'm getting out of high school and I don't have any work experience, but I have like a lot of certificates and I'm trying to get into the work field?
I like it. You are ahead of the game. I wish I could see those certificates and help you. Let me ask you, you say, what about that? Are you having trouble just finding out how to express that, hey, I'm a person of worth and here's these certificates show what I can do?
Correct.
Hmm. And let me, At this point in time, I would ask if you would like to talk more about it, because I don't know if I can give you the answer you're looking for right now. I would say those certificates add to something because if they're in a given field, whatever the field is, if they're related, like you have some of them are in nursing or nursing related, I should say, or service related, service industry related, uh, then you're already showing a path. So
Okay.
that's a strength.
So is it okay to put like just the certificates I have on a resume, even though I don't have work experience yet? And then once I get the work experience, when someone, gives me the job and then I can update my resume, like, is that still a good thing to do?
That, yes, I would say yes. It's a step in the right direction. Uh, I wouldn't just make a bullet point list of awards. You know how we talked about that summary earlier on there? I would
Yes.
say include your summary. How would you evaluate that experience? Yes, not just
Okay.
listing awards. How if you had to give and say make it a 10, 12 word sentence at the longest, really try to hone your words down. And what are you really saying? Because that's the core of what you're really offering the whoever it is that you're applying to.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're so kindly welcome. Good luck, and if you need more assistance, I can be reached.
Oh, that would be great.
Yes, ma'am. Please, feel free. What's your first name, please?
Mine is Juanita.
Hi, Juanita. I'm Paul, and I think Hannah has offered to go with um, has offered that to hook us up as need be. So I can't make all the promises, but I can at least set something up here. So please, you're not alone, Juanita. Please know that.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're so kindly welcome. Anybody else? Good questions. And the sad part, I won't say sad, but the tough part is when we get done, some of you questions will start coming to you. And I would just say again, if you need further assistance, Hannah knows how we can best hook up. And I leave that I'm here to represent TriTogether, and that's uh, uh, I'm new to this. These folks, Theo, Hannah, everybody, Ben, everybody, they know what they're doing. So um, so I'll leave it at that. But the resume I've been doing for 25 years. So anyway, I could say go. I'd love to have the time to go around and ask you because somebody here has had to come away with at least one thing. Make the your name the boldest part of the resume, the order of things, what kind of fonts to use, what to say, what not to say. I hope that you're coming away with at least some little morsel that you can use. And if we have another minute or so, Theo, I just say if anybody can, just shout out a word or two that's something that they made sense with. I'm not looking for you to stroke my ego so much as I just like to know what works. So if I get called upon to do anything like this, I can be sure to address it.
I
Okay.
think your summary makes a lot of sense.
Thank you. Good. I'm glad I could help with that. And okay, then let's do this. So, remember, people who read your resume don't know you. There's so many things in life that are beyond our control. And so, if it helps, don't be perfect. Just be perfectly human. That applies in so many ways because sometimes we are so very hard on ourselves, and we have to be our own toughest critic. But don't be too hard on yourself. There's only one you. Nobody's perfect. I'm nobody, therefore I'm perfect. Right. Anyway, if there's nothing else, anybody else, last chance, last dance, then I thank you for joining us this evening. On behalf of how I'm able to represent TriTogether, I thank you. And I thank you, but most of all, thank you. It's been fun.